So I'm watching this interview with Richard Wolff, a Jewish man of French and German descendancy from Europe, whose father handed him the Communist Manifesto and wanted him to learn about this. The interviewer, who's an Assyrian Armenian, how's that for a good combination? Very historic, by the way, is almost incredulous listening to this guy's diatribe about his knee-jerk liberalism and socialistic tendencies, which I find incredible because I think about having grown up in New York, and this guy grew up in New Rochelle. Like Jewish liberalism is not oxymoronic. It is almost as natural as, like, I don't know, trout and stream. And I'm not making a judgment on it, but it is incredible to me that they come here with their European baggage and they've never put it down. And I always have to ask myself, what made them stay here? Because as an American third generation, as I become more and more ever alienated from this society, I'm thinking where the hell I'm going to go. I don't care about athletes giving me their philosophy on anything. Not about politics, not about anything. You bounce a basketball, you run with a football, you hit a golf ball, you play guitar. That's great. But, really shut up and dribble and run or whatever you do, I'm not interested in your opinion. Show me credentials. Okay? I said this to Bruce Springsteen in 1978 at a motorcycle shop in Westwood, New Jersey. I hardly knew who he was. But I had some friend of mine whose idiot today wife has the IQ of room temperature. Oh, he's so philosophical. Oh, he has so much wonderful things to say in between songs. And so I asked him, I said, if I was 6'10", 800 pounds, and I came in here and told you to think like me, what would you think of that? He was sitting on a motorcycle. He looked up at me incredulously, and a bunch of friends of mine kind of smiled and laughed, almost mocking me. They had warned Mr. Springsteen about me. And he shook his head and kind of looked down at the ground and looked back up at me. And, hey, I don't know, man. You don't know, man? Bullying is bullying. You don't have to be 7 feet tall to bully people, right? If you have a real celebrity about you from position, title, endeavors in life that made you very successful, hey, that's all great. You know who I admire? When some guy goes up on the stage and says, hey, form your own opinions. Learn truths. Seek truth. Your opinion is no less valid than mine. Kind of Ralph Waldo Emerson kind of stuff. A liberal from the 1860s. Where the hell did that go? Now it's like liberals of our day. You must think like us. You must walk like us. And that's another thing. So all my Jewish friends out there, and I have a lot of them, I've always said, why would you want to go to summer camp? After the little tour in Germany and Poland, I don't think I'd ever want to go near anything that ended in camp or lager. This is not anti-Semitism. This is historical perspective. So this schmuck comes to America because his parents brought him here and reared him up to be a good little socialist communist. Why are you here? Why don't you go to Venezuela or the Soviet Union? Or why didn't you go to Hungary or Romania in their heyday? What the hell makes you stay here? Why do you go to a capitalist country and try to ruin it? It'd be like me going to Sweden and telling them not to eat whitefish. They got to eat more pasta. Put down the Swedish meatballs. Man, I get pissed off when I see a frickin' McDonald's on the Champs-Élysées. I don't want to see it. This should be illegal. Cultural pollution destroys civilization. America was a northern Christian European culture that built a great democracy with that ethos. I am not Northern European. But I would defecate on my ancestors' graves if they came here with this guy's baggage. They all served in the military. All my kinfolk from the past. I just, for the love of Christ, cannot understand this. But the consistency of this type of guy, it's biblical. It's biblical and it's beyond psychological. And I get a kick out of listening to the interviewer like this guy is given a revelation of his liberalism. So his father gives him the Communist Manifesto.
Someone who's been through the European schooling system, the American system was a continuing shock. Yeah. The fact that I'll give you an example. When I was young, when I went to high school, ninth grade, the first time, the way high school is set up in New York State, my father asked me about my classes in Latin and Greek. So I answered my father, there are no classes in Latin and Greek in my high school. He didn't believe me. He said, oh, you must be mistaken. The next day he went into the school with me, barged right into the principal's office. He was polite and all that, but he said, look, I want to talk to you about Latin and Greek. And the principal was a very nice guy. And he brought me in there, so I, of course, had to be with him.
What, no Hebrew? Do you believe this? As an American, we don't waste our time, other than as electives, learning dead languages. You know what's funny, Mushbucha? I'm Greek and Italian. And as a kid, I resented going to Greek class. I just did. Most of my Greek friends, we all goofed on it. We didn't really want to be there. We wanted to be American. So my father was raised in a Greek home that spoke nothing but Greek for the most part, and English. But my yaya never spoke English until she was well above 50 years old of any proficiency. But my father went to Washington Heights. George Washington High School, graduated with John Kemeny, president of Dartmouth, Alan Greenspan, Jacob Javits, Harry Belafonte, Ed Ames. I could go on all day long. The point was, he went to the Air Force in World War II, got out, won the GI Bill, went to the University of Michigan. And the only time I heard him speak Greek usually was when he was cussing at me and he ran out of English pejoratives. I thank God in America we don't prerequisite languages that are dead. They're good to know. If you're studying biology, you want to be a doctor, there's a lot of benefits in understanding Greek, reading the Bible. To me, a lot less for Latin, but that's another issue. But I just get a kick out of this guy because he wants to cling to that European baggage, like all my Jewish friends that love soccer. We love soccer. Mussolini loved soccer. Hitler thought ancient Greece and Rome were the only two civilizations worthy of study. Again, I'm Greek and Italian. I don't know if I agree with that. As a matter of fact, I don't. So this guy wants to cling to his Europa ethos. You know, the European ethos that brings us Hitler, Napoleon, Peter the Great, Charlemagne. I don't know, maybe 3 million wars in the last 300 years. Especially World War I and II that we had to clean up both times with the blood of our boys. But this guy doesn't care about that, because his daddy said he should be learning Latin and Greek. Ti nef dovre. Katalevenis? Verstehen? This is a form of cultural insanity. Your culture is what you pray to. Your civilization is built upon that system of belief. So all you people that really can't stand America for what it is, get out. What, you can't afford a passport? Get out. Go somewhere else. Like this guy. Go back to Germany and France, like Dreyfus and all those guys that got put in the concentration camps in Germany. I think they don't want to go back. So why are you here knocking this? You should be standing up every day on a high cliff, thanking God, Jehovah, for America. And if you can't or don't want to, that's fine. But don't come here and knock my country. Don't, as a second-generation American, sit here. Because you have the right to do it, don't make it right. Okay? Again, you want Swedish meatballs, you probably don't want to be in Florence.